Voters in 4 states will head to the polls Tuesday for primary elections ahead of the November midterms. We'll be taking a closer look at the key races in Pennsylvania as part of our Local Matters series. CBS News projects there are at least 5 Republican-held House seats for which Democrats are expected to be competitive in the midterms. Their performance in the state will be crucial as they look to regain a majority in the House of Representatives. Tuesday's primaries are the first since Pennsylvania redrew its map of congressional districts after the state Supreme Court ruled the previous map to be unconstitutional. John Micek is a political columnist and opinion editor for PennLive.com. He joins me now via Skype from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. All right, so John, the new congressional map means that both Connor Lamb and Rick Saccone will each be running in different districts. Now, Lamb beat Saccone in a March special election for the 18th district. Lamb is running unopposed in Tuesday's primary. But what can you tell us about his prospects in the general election?
Good evening, Elaine. Well, so as you remarked, Connor Lamb is running unopposed after Democrats dropped out in the primary field for Pennsylvania's new 17th congressional district in western Pennsylvania. That was one that was redrawn slightly to favor the chances of Democrats in the new map imposed by the state Supreme Court. The incumbent there is a Republican U.S. Rep named Keith Rothfuss, in office since 2012, an early supporter of President Donald Trump, and a very much a Trump Republican. Democrats there are looking to knock him off, and they're pretty bullish on their chances.
Meanwhile, Rick Saccone is getting a second chance in the 14th district, but his opponent, Guy Reschenthaler, is bringing up his previous failure. Let's listen.
And Saccone already lost a safe Republican seat. Even President Trump called Saccone weak.
Okay, so John, how is the makeup of the new 14th district going to affect this primary?
You know, Elaine, I was actually out in that district just last weekend, and you can't escape that Guy Reschenthaler ad. It's all over the TV in the Pittsburgh market. The new 14th district was drawn to strongly favor Republicans. Reschenthaler is a veteran like Saccone. They're both in there for the fighting for the hearts and minds of Republican primary voters. Saccone is hoping that the second time is the charm for him in the new 14th district. He's thinking he has a decent chance of Reschenthaler, but it's going to be one I think that goes down to the wire on Tuesday night between these two.
Interesting. Well, Republican candidates are also looking to challenge Democratic Governor Tom Wolf. You've noted one poll that shows up to 22% of voters are undecided. What does that indicate to you ahead of Tuesday's primary?
Well, for one, that's an extraordinary amount this close to the election. The other thing is that it could well be a byproduct of a very negative campaign between the party-endorsed candidate, State Senator Scott Wagner of York County, and his main rival, Paul Mango, a former healthcare consultant from Allegheny County. The two have been fighting it on the airwaves for the last 6 to 8 weeks, and some of the nastiest campaigning the state has seen in years. That could be a sign of Republican disaffection going into the primary eve. And Laura Ellsworth, a Pittsburgh attorney who's currently running third, has been touting this as a sign that she might have a path up the middle between the two candidates.
Well, on what issues have these 3 candidates tried to differentiate themselves from each other?
You know, this is a very much a traditional Republican primary. It's hard to get a lot of daylight between the 3 of these candidates, and the differences tend to be in the margins. Ellsworth, for instance, has broken with Mango and Wagner on the issue of the state's opioid epidemic. She has advocated mandatory commitment for those who are the subject of a revival from naloxone after first responders call. They've differed on their approaches in gun control. Wagner has hammered hard on the question of property tax elimination. It's kind of the white whale of Pennsylvania politics. They've been trying for 20 years to do it. He claims he can, and that's one of the things he's been running on pretty strongly.
Finally, John, President Trump has gotten involved in the Republican Senate primary to challenge Democrat Bob Casey. He recorded a robocall for Lou Barletta. Could an endorsement from the president be enough for Barletta to win on Tuesday?
Barletta's chances were actually pretty strong going into this as it was. He's running against a Republican state representative named Jim Christiana from Beaver County outside of Pittsburgh. Christiana hasn't been able to fundraise. He hasn't been able to marshal the kind of support. In this particular case, this is actually something that might actually help Lou Barletta. He was an early and strong supporter of President Trump in Pennsylvania. He organized his ground game here in the state. He served on the presidential transition. And this is a state that went to President Trump by 44,000 votes in 2016. Unlike some candidates, Barletta has not been trying to distance himself from President Trump. He's been punching up the similarities between the two of them. And this might be the one case where a presidential endorsement could make the difference.
All right. John Micek with a view from Pennsylvania for us.